It's Monday, August 19th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, the longest continuous running tech podcast. This is show number 883, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our August GoDaddy special. Get 32% off your new order at GoDaddy.com using the promo code GO32OFF1. Or get a .com for just $2.49. Geek News Central is the proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Got a lot to share tonight. We're running really late. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you know what comes next? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Hey, everyone, to give a warm aloha to everyone that's out there. I want to welcome all of our longtime listeners and viewers of the show. Thanks for being here. Of course, we're coming to you live out of our studio, out of my studio here in Honolulu. And trades are up tonight. It's absolutely beautiful evening here in Honolulu. I'm running ridiculously late getting started, but for good reason. We'll talk about that here in a minute or so. But for those of you brand new to the show, hey, you can get this show a multitude of ways. You can go over to youtube.com/geek news. You can come over to geeknewscentral.com, get subscribed to the podcast. It's real easy once you're on the website to get connected up. And really, once you're over, oops. Well, that was loaded. Once you're on the website, you basically click on the RSS feed, and that gets you all set up to be able to be subscribed to the show. We got a newsletter as well where all the show notes get delivered to. So in other words, if you are wanting to really get connected with the show, the newsletter is the place you want to be, because as soon as the show's over and I get the show posted, I'll send out an email, and that email will contain everything that is covered in tonight's show, all the links, all the show notes, everything else, sponsor messages, you name it. So definitely get subscribed to the newsletter. You'll find that over there at geeknewscentral.com. There's a link on the website for it. But, hey, I just want to welcome everyone. Thanks for being here again. And lots going on. I mean, it's to the point of, Angelo and I were talking, and we think that we're at a point, both of us are, where we can use a full-time assistant, whether it be a PA or someone just to, handle the extra phone load. So we're going to be talking about maybe bringing someone on here soon. I don't know. It's been pretty crazy. So, and I have just been really up to my eyeballs, which it's a good thing, don't get me wrong. But tonight left the house, had to run into town to pick the kids up. And they're doing cross country, so got in traffic, and by the time I got back here, things just did not flow as fast as I wanted to be able to get started on time. So those of you that are watching live, thanks for hanging out later than normal for the beginning of the show, and we hope that you stay with us throughout the evening. But for the rest of you, don't care. You listen to me or watch whenever you want to watch, and you can do that, of course, via the Roku, the Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, Chromecast, you name it. You can watch the show a multitude of ways, or you can listen just about on every device known to man, or every piece of glass there is that has a component behind it where you can get on the web. But thanks for being here. And, of course, you can reach me at any time on Twitter at Geek News. And you can email the show, geeknews@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can call the hotline at 619-342-7365. And, of course, I'm a member here of the Tech Podcast Network. We want to, of course, encourage you over to techpodcast.com. Check out all the great shows over there. A lot of family-safe shows. And if you find one that isn't, definitely email me and let me know, and we'll take care of that. But we think we've cleaned house and got a couple of the bad eggs out, which is good. But tonight we're up streaming on YouTube. And after we get done streaming on YouTube, then we go ahead and put the version up on live stream. So it's kind of a back-to-back type of thing. So depending on when you're watching, you can catch it at either location. But, here we are. We're already on the 19th of August. It's just incredible how fast the month is just flying by. And, I got to thinking, I told my wife, I said, it isn't going to be too long before, excuse me, before next trip I make to the mainland, I'm going to have to pack a jacket. And we guys kind of looked at each other like, yeah, the time is just flying. So I know none of you want to hear that, but obviously it is going to be the season where things are going to start cooling off. Of course, we got a little time yet before it gets chilly. But I want to encourage you, of course, to support our sponsor here at the show. Support our sponsor, GoDaddy.com. We've got some great deals for you this month. And really, GoDaddy puts deals together for us to share to you to save you money. And that's what it's all about, saving you cash. And I try to always encourage the folks at GoDaddy to give us the best codes that they give us so that you'll save a lot of money. And in order to get those codes, because they don't give them to everybody or to every show, you guys have to really kind of react and use those promo codes. So this $2.49.com, that's still live and well, and you can get that by using the promo code GEEK249. But if you want to find all my codes, it's real easy to do so on the website. You just, of course, I'm waiting for this to load. I should have had it in a tab. You go down the website, and there's a GoDaddy banner. It says GoDaddy promo codes on the page. You click on that, and that's going to take you right in and show you all the codes. Of course, that 32% off code is running right now as well. Go 32 off 1. It's a great code to use for new products and services that you pick up. And, of course, you can get a new .com with a free year of private registration using the promo code FREE2 for $4. So that's really a great deal as well. But we've got SSL certificates. We've got dollars off on specific purchase amounts, $20, $10, and $5 off based on what you spend on your initial order or on an order. Of course, I've got .com renewals, $8.49 by using promo code COMSALE3. We've got 15% off any order, $20 or more by using the promo code GEEK5. Even got $1.99 hosting promo codes as well. So lots of stuff going on here on the website. We want you to check them all out, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. That's where all those codes are at, and way for you to save a lot of cash. There's I got a hair flying. It's driving me crazy. For those of you who are watching, I don't have much hair already. I look in when I see the back of my head in the mirror, I just I almost want to throw up. But so when you get one that's one of the few that's left that's flying around, it's just like, please. And probably what it is, I probably have the ceiling fan turned up to 120 RPM or something. So let me scale that thing back, and that may help it. I'll be combing my hair with my hand all night. So, really what it boils down to is GoDaddy takes care of this show. And we keep the lights on here, keep the family fed. And it's important for you to support our sponsors. If you love the show, please do so. And then I hope that you go over there and pick up all your domain needs, hosting needs, email needs. You name it, they've got it. It's a one-stop shop. And we're going to talk about a company they just bought today as well that will help those of you that are in business here down the road. So we'll cover that a little later. But I want to thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor here again. GeekNewsCentral.com/GoDaddy is where you can find all those great codes. So let me go ahead and look at my little stack here of stuff that I have. And you guys know that I've been playing Ingress, right? And I took a little break from Ingress, and not necessarily a voluntary one. Ingress, a month ago, locked out my account. I was upgrading some portals, and midstream they locked me out. And after much wrangling and many emails back and forth, one of the players basically on the other side of here in Hawaii had accused me of spoofing my location, and I kind of laughed at that because the whole purpose of me playing this game has been, number one, to get some exercise and lose weight. And also, in combination with that, is a couple of days before, we'd done this big event, and I had given my son, they have these things called keys, portal keys, and I had dropped a whole bunch of portal keys to my son to use during this big event we had here in Hawaii so he could play and level up. I didn't need the keys. So the combination of one person saying I was doing something and dropping a bunch of keys, they thought I was running 2 accounts and locked me out. So long story short, it's taken about a month to get back my account turned back on, and I'm back in and I can play again. But it just really irritated me with the whole process because they you're just automatically assumed to be guilty. You're not innocent proved guilty. They just they drop you on a dime, and I'm still not completely satisfied with the response, but at least I'm back in, and you have to admit your guilt. You have to basically say, I agree to the term community services, even though if you were following them before, they don't care. So, a lot of, it is what it is, but I guess it was a nice break. It wasn't necessarily voluntary, but I got a lot done, and I guess a good 12-step plan for breaking and staying off ingress for a month. But was very, very irritated with the whole situation. And but is what it is, and I'm back in action. Hey, this past Saturday had a interview with Rachel Eaton from Stitcher. She was on our new media show. So pretty good interview with Rachel, and basically finding out what they're doing, what they've got plans and things coming up. So if you haven't subscribed, or maybe you're not interested at all, but definitely check that out. And last night at about 6 p.m. here local, the phone rang, and on the other end line was this, "Can I speak to Anna, please?" And it was this real deep voice, and I'm kind of thinking, wow, that dude has a serious radio voice. And I thought, okay, and the boys have been calling a little bit, but usually they call our cell, they don't call the home phone. And I said, "Oh, hey, Anna, here's the phone." I kind of looked at her funny, and she picked up the phone and started talking to the person almost like she knew him. Yep, yes, yes, yes. And then it wasn't and she was on the phone quite a bit, maybe 10 minutes. She walked into the living room and she was saying, "Yes, sir," and this and that. I'm like, "Sir, who is she talking to?" And she opened up her laptop, and the curiosity got over me, and I walked over, and she had loaded the Naval Academy website up, and was going to the admissions page, and the person she was talking to was directing her through some stuff. But long story short, she was talking with the local Naval Academy rep here in Hawaii, and he's going to be coming to the house on Wednesday to do I guess, a pre-interview. And this is like the first step that you have to take in order to working your way into the Naval Academy. So we're pretty excited about it. We know it's a long shot. It's very, very difficult because generally only about 20 people per state gets picked every year to go to the Naval Academy. So we know the competition is extreme. In Hawaii, having such a huge, huge Navy family here, every admiral and captain and, all these guys that are part of the, really what it boils down to is the academies are like this big fraternity. And they're often referred to as ring knockers because they all get an academy ring, and they're pretty thick, and then they're it's they all take care of each other, and as they should. So and it's sometimes much to the chagrin of maybe guys that came in different ways, because there's multiple ways to become an officer in the military. So this is just one of many avenues, but a very prestigious one. So we are prepping. We're prepping Anna for her pre-interview. And we got her doing some homework tonight basically being on the internet, doing some reviews and making sure that we're good to go. So Wednesday there's a good impression. My wife has been doing some rearranging in the house, and we've been, you have to, it's almost like this. I guess for a better word, it's kind of like it's a little bit of strategizing. Number one, you want to. There's a whole. First of all, grades is most important for schooling. SAT, ACT stuff is important. Engineering, science background is big, and then all the sports and activities, and even church involvement or whatever, or synagogue involvement, or wherever you maybe go to. If you go to a mosque, where and they just basically want you to be active in your community, and putting that all together, then along with recognition and stuff that she has done. And so my wife has got her little, her awards and stuff put in strategic places in the house. And, I'm telling my wife, this is not necessary. You will tell him about this stuff. But basically they come to make sure that the candidate or the person that is thinking about applying understands what they're getting into. And not that they're just willy-nilly applying to go to the Naval Academy. And it's a big, big commitment. essentially 9 years at least of your life is committed once you basically accept. Well, if you have to get through the process, you have to go to plebe summer. You start classes. You got to keep your grade point up. There's a whole bunch of requirements, and you don't want to rock out. And they graduate close to 1,000 people a year, and where you're at in standings when you graduate depends on basically placement you're going to get. The higher you are in your class depends on where you're going to get your picks. If you want to be a naval aviator, you want to be an NFO, if you want to be a SWO, there's all these pick lines, and the lower you are in the class you're almost not guaranteed. You're going to go someplace. They're going to have a job for you, but you may not get your first choice. And then, so in other words, there's the whole process while you're there, but then you have a commitment for them giving you this fantastic education. But I just keep telling her, says, honey, you get this, you're set for life. This is it's a big, big, big deal. And I think now that we've had some extra time to do some studying and her do some homework, I think she's prepared. So big night on Wednesday. I'll let you guys know how it goes on Thursday's show. But that's kind of had me and her kind of engaged real heavily here over the last 24 hours, prepping for this. And it's not that big of a deal, but I'm going to tell you, opinion. It's this individual that will come and interview will have an opinion when he walks out the door, and he's going to have one or two opinions. I want this person to be a potential naval officer. Number two, I don't want this person in my Navy. And that goes a long, long way in his little, whatever he's going to write on his report on this pre-interview. So we'll see how it goes. Should be fun. So anyway, that's what's going on here. And I'm going to wrap that up. We'll get into the tech. A lot to talk about tonight for sure. So hope you guys are enjoying the show. Last show was a little weird. Felt like I was kind of out of practice, even though it had been gone a week. Definitely is a big difference when I'm on point, hitting the show on a regular basis. The show just flows a lot different. And if I miss a show, it's just weird. It's almost like, okay, do I know my right hand from my left hand? And it kind of works out that way. But anyway, that's just my personal assessment of myself. And we're always critical of ourselves, aren't we? We never give ourselves a break. But again, a lot of great content tonight. Let's get right into the stack. Again, New Media Show number 17 with Rachel Eaton was recorded this past Saturday with my co-host Rob Greenlee. And hope that you definitely get over to geeknewscentral.com and check the show out. We want you to enjoy all the content here, including Robot Underpants, The Gadget Professor, and so forth that's on the website. And I am, once again, looking for a new host for the Chrome Show. So if you are interested in that, let me know. Big news, of course, coming out of the UK was the 9-hour detainment of Glenn Greenwald's partner. And, of course, Glenn Greenwald was a guy from the Register who, not the Register, but from... was basically he's the guy that did all the posting on Snowden, and this guy's not the guy that did the articles, but his partner was basically all of his electronics were seized, and then he went through a 9-hour question and answer interrogation by UK officials before he was released. Now, this individual has been able to leave the UK and is now back in Brazil, but he's actually was on his way home to Rio de Janeiro from Berlin, but he is minus his mobile phone, laptop, camera, memory sticks, DVDs, and game consoles. And but the law under which he was detained was called Schedule 7, and apparently in the UK this is a very controversial measure. And what it allows them to do is allows to hold a person for questioning because they may be related to a terrorist organization or be prepared. They may be an instigator in acts of terrorism. They're able to hold them up to 9 hours without charging them. So, this, I don't know if this guy was, he was releasing, what Snowden revealed to this guy's, to Glenn Greenwald had nothing to do with this guy they detained. Just imagine that, Todd is doing the tech show here, and his wife, or my wife, flies to the UK. They detain my wife for 9 hours and talk to her about what I do on my show, and then let her continue on. That's the example here, right? Technically I'm the podcaster, I'm the blogger, I'm the person that's talking about the content. I'm the one, and again, I don't get anything like this, but that's the analogy here. And just to think that they were able to detain this guy's partner for 9 hours is pretty crazy. Now, there are a couple of groups that haven't spoke up about this yet, and I'm just kind of curious about it because I was expecting some other pseudo groups, especially that these were two guys. I was expecting someone to make some comments. Maybe this is related to their sexual preference or something. And you just wonder where this all boils down to, and it's ugly that they. And again, I'm just wondering when those groups are going to stand up and say, "Hey, was there anything additional here?" But irregardless if it was a wife, aunt, brother, uncle, it didn't matter who the relative or who the friend. If it could have been just a straight friend, knowing that not a partner per se, that could have been detained like this, and it makes you kind of scratch your chin a little bit and go, So I wonder if a lot of people are going to start avoiding going through the UK now because of this. May not have no choice because UK, New York, there's certain places are gateways to other countries. But it is an interesting move by the government and the United States, saying they had no prior knowledge of this guy's detainment. Okay. Now, in a related story, The Guardian had the UK government come in and basically said, we want all the material you've got on Snowden. And they were very demanding, and over a period of weeks, were basically kind of upping the threat pressure. And when they came in, the Guardian editors say, listen, hey, this data is digital. The reporter, he's in Brazil, and he's submitting his stories digitally, and they're being put on the Guardian. They go up through the Guardian website. But we don't have no data here. We don't have the Snowden's documents. But what they did is the UK government basically pulled hard drives out of the servers of the Guardian headquarters and smashed them. So there's this big article on how the newspaper editor at the Guardian, he described how this all went down and how the intelligence agency destroyed a MacBook Pro and a variety of other documents, digital documents. And this kind of sums it up. He says, I explained to the mind, and I guess Whitehall is some UK government agency or some building or some office where these guys work out of. He said, I explained to the man from Whitehall about the nature of international collaborations and the way in which these days media organizations could take advantage of the most permissive legal environments. Bluntly, we did not have to do our reporting from London. Already, most of the NSA stories were being reported and edited out of New York, and it occurred to him that the Guardian reporter Glenn Greenwald lived in Brazil. Apparently, this man was unmoved, and so one of the more bizarre moments in the Guardian's long history, with two GCHQ security officers overseeing the destruction of hard drives in the Guardian basement just to make sure there was nothing in the mangled bits of metals which could possibly be of any interest. So, apparently this guy from Whitehall was satisfied after he smashed basically a MacBook, and he basically came back and said, we can call up the Black Hawk helicopters now, as the remains of the MacBook Pro were basically being swept off the basement floor. So this is pretty wowza. And it's interesting to say that they were doing most editing out of New York and with the reporter in Brazil. So does that mean the reporters feel safer in reporting out of the United States than they do in the UK? Big question, right? I asked one of my friends today, so, okay, so what happens in the United States? And in this, to be honest with you, I don't know the full answer to this. So what happens if you're a reporter and this is, we've seen lots of stories come out over time where someone information's been leaked or whatever. So let's say you're a reporter and someone comes to you and gives you something that is obviously documentation that the government doesn't want to have online, and you as a reporter put that up online. We know from previous Supreme Court cases that as a reporter, you may be forced, according to what we've seen already in Supreme Court rulings, that you as a reporter may have to basically give up your source. There's already court history on this. And but the question is, what can be done to the reporter? Can anything be done to the reporter? And in these days, okay, so I'm a blogger, right? Now, you're not going to find nothing on my website that's going to get me underneath the scrutiny of the U.S. government. It's not going to happen. So, but if let's say some other blogger did and put something up, would the government consider that person a reporter? And what kind of, we're protected on the Constitution for freedom of press, right? And basically you have freedom of speech and all the stuff that goes along with it. But can a reporter be held liable? Can the government? And I don't think so. But in this day and age, with all these crazy rules going on, there's all this stuff that's been said they can do. What is the rules these days? And maybe someone with technically a journalist background can tell me what is. I don't think if I was this Greenwald guy that I would ever want to step inside the United States borders based on what happened in the UK. But then again, maybe he would be perfectly safe. We know what's going to happen to Snowden. If he pokes his head up, poof, he's going to get 2 shots to the back of the head, or he's going to end up in a vehicle on an airplane coming back here to face justice. But, so what happens then to the reporter? So it's an interesting move here, and this pressure by the British to go in and destroying computers containing information makes you go, huh? They're going into an established news organization. It really makes you kind of scratch your head a little bit. And so I'm going to dig into this some more. But there's a lot of gray area here that I'm not familiar. I write stories all the time, but they're not of this kind of sensitive nature, obviously. So kind of a curious time, and the pressure is being put on journalists. Okay, so let's move on here. In a more crazy story, and this is kind of semi-related, is that Time Magazine's Michael Gronwald took to a new and incredibly disgusting level this weekend with a now deleted tweet in which he gleefully announced his eagerness to see the U.S. kill Julian Assange and then defend the government for doing so. So I'm like, huh? So he says, I can't wait to write a defense of the drone strike that takes out Julian Assange. So he's already saying that if the U.S. government takes him out, he's going to write a piece on Time that defends the government's ability to do this. So, it's a kind of an interesting move here. Interesting tweet, to say the least. I guess he's a opinionated Time journalist. So, in whatever side of the fence you sit on, I have absolutely no, this guy's holed up in an embassy somewhere. So, he's got a real life at this point, right? Not. So, he's another guy that's on that, capture list. Of course, he was the messenger. He was the WikiLeaks guy, right? And never went over to that website, but definitely they put all that stuff that now the Army guy is probably going to get about 60 years for. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. So, but interesting tweet by this guy from Time Magazine that he said he would write a defense of the drone strike against Julian Assange. So it's just kind of some bizarre stuff going on in the space, you know. And then there's a even more kind of like hitch in the face type of article over on Torrent Freak, and I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here? And we all know that VPNs are, there's a multitude of legitimate uses for technology. I can VPN into my machine here, right? Many of you probably VPN to computers as well. But there's this article title saying, should authorities decrypt VPNs and Tor or ban them altogether? And I don't know how they could ever ban them. As we all know, there are many legitimate uses for technology such as VPNs. But of course, there are those who use them obviously for criminal and objectionable practices. They just, found a whole bunch of child pornographers and that were using Tor. But it's as Russia prepares to attempt to ban Tor completely, police in Sweden now want to be able to gain access to encrypted communications in case of serious abuse. So the question is, should the privacy rights of millions be utterly compromised because of the activities of the few? It's an interesting question, and I'm sure one that sets very warily against all of you. But I've never really had the need, ever wanted to encrypt my email. I guess if I had super high level secret business stuff that was going on back and forth, that I was if I was a multinational corporation, I was worried about trade secrets and all that stuff, maybe I would. But what I do day to day is there's no need for encryption. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't consider using it if they need to. That's their right. But the question then really is, do you think the government has the right to go in and be able to snoop on VPNs and or Tor? If you're trying to cover your tracks, usually you're covering your tracks for a reason, but you also got to remember why Tor was originally put online. Tor was to help those behind the Great Firewall of China to be able to get to websites that were outside of China that were being blocked. It's a very interesting world outside. It really is. So a lot of things happening here that we all have to just kind of keep our thumb on the pulse on to make sure that things don't go totally awry. All right, over on another article on Torrent Freak, 6 strikes anti-pirate, and this is really switching gears here. We're coming off the conspiracy and just the day-to-day things going on the internet. But doesn't all this stuff kind of weird you guys out? I really want to hear from you. Are you just used to it at this point? Do you fully expect that, everything you say, everything you do online is basically going into the big database of Sky? Are you guys just willing to accept that? And at this point, oh, well? Or are you guys in the camp of, do you really does this drive you crazy? Or, are you in the other case of, if it helps catch the bad guys, I want it to go on? I think we're all in both camps, right? We want the government to catch the bad guys, right? We want them to catch the terrorists and the people that are doing bad things. We want them to find those folks. And, and many times when they find those bad folks, you want that drone to drop a bomb on them, right? And at the same time, you want to say, okay, I want the Constitution to be upheld at the same time, right? So it's this balancing act of, and in one way you want one thing to happen, and the other you want this to happen, and they often, they don't fit together anymore. So, I consider myself true blue, red, white, and blue. I took my job when I was in the Navy very, very seriously. And really, that's all I have to say about that, And I believe in maintaining commitments, and I believe in what you agree to, you stand behind. So I have no sympathy whatsoever for Snowden. And some people on the other side will say, well, he's a patriot. He released this information, made it available to the American public. Okay, well, it happened. So In one instance, I don't think any of us are surprised, but at the same instance, you know, it's just this whole, I don't know about you guys. It doesn't cause me to question anything that I have done in the past, nothing whatsoever. But it definitely just raises all these like, wow, 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 these big realizations. And it's kind of crazy out there right now for sure. But, as I said before, I don't think Snowden's here for this world very long. I think they'll get him. I think he'll end up in the court here in the United States. They probably won't kill him, but they'll definitely get him at some point. His days of freedom, in my opinion, are probably very numbered. So time will tell. Okay, let me switch back on the Six Strikes thing. The Six Strikes copyright alert system has been active for nearly half a year without the promised independent evidence review. However, this is about to change. The Center for Copyright Information, a partnership between the RIAA, MPA, and several major internet providers which oversee the system, has informed Torrent Freak that a new independent expert has been picked to review the accuracy of the monitoring system. The initial person that they had hired had ties to the RIAA. And they kind of figured out, maybe this isn't a very good idea. Not a good pick. So they basically went and found someone else. Now, they haven't announced, they basically announced that the new expert is Professor Avi Rubin, who will work with his team at a company called Harbor Labs. Professor Rubin has no prior connection to CCI, and it's not affiliated in any way with its member companies, but comes highly recommended by several technologists and experts in the field. So he'll be the one, his company will be the one to go through and make sure that Six Strike is doing what it's supposed to be doing. UFC, yes, you guys know who the UFC is, right? They've sent hundreds of thousands of takedowns for infringing content. But just like everyone else, they often do it with bots, and they've been taking down a lot of content that were not needed. And some, if you look at the actual titles of the stuff that they asked to be removed, is very some very interesting titles that they've asked to take down. But apparently what they found was that someone that was legally had content on their site had links to other content. And even though the legal content was allowed to stay, that the other links that are on the site were actually flagged as being UFC content. So once again, we have bots run awry, requesting the takedown of thousands of links that did not necessarily belong copyright to the UFC. So it's these automated systems that are going to be the death of us for sure. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Apple. Apple is reportedly shipping 2 new phones next month. Now, this is we all kind of knew this maybe was coming. So what's going on here is that there's some reporting going on and some discussion is that Apple has been is going to be making 2 phones. One is going to be with a metal casing similar to the iPhone 5, and another lower cost version. So we'll see where this leads. And another rumor seems to be gaining crescent is that a gold color option, who wants it, sounds like a celebrity thing. A gold color phone, gold colored, is going to be, I don't think that's going to be on the cheap side of things, but a gold colored iPhone is going to be available as well. So what does this mean? Does this mean that the cheap version is going to be plastic? And so it is going to be, we'll have to see where this goes, because Apple has never really went after the low-end market, right? They've always been premium product line. So I don't see them coming out with a phone that is too cheap. I think, let's just look at it from a consumer standpoint. They're getting their beat butt by Samsung right now and Chrome primarily, or Android, excuse me. And so if they come out with a version that is more affordable, this could be big. So we're holding off here, looking at any new phones until after the September 10th announcement, because these lower end phones I think they could end up being in the pay-as-you-go segment. So if you got a functional iOS operating system that maybe is not running on as hot of a processor, but has a nice screen, has a nice form fit, maybe not as sexy, but if that goes into the prepaid phone market, the iPhone could dominate. It could really, because if you look at the prepaid phone market, there's always like 10 Androids available. And then there's one iPhone, and it's like $600 for an iPhone, or $149 to $199 for any other the prepaid phones that are nice Androids with enough processing power to really make, to be able to satisfy someone. So that's what I'm kind of predicting it. And maybe they're really going after the teenager market here too. And with this lower entry price, maybe we'll see some discount plans that are designed for folks that want that little lower end phone, but still have voice and data. So maybe we'll see some additional plans that are really adapted towards these phones. I don't know. Time will tell, but it'll be interesting where they go with this market. But the gold one, okay. I'm not, when you talk gold, it just add another $300 to the price tag, right? But what is interesting move here is that there's some reporting going on that Apple is basically still pulling in people that are switching. The latest market data shows that Apple's winning over Samsung users from Android at 3 times the rate that they're pulling in iPhone users. So this is 4 quarterly reports between 2012 and 2013. But overall, Android still is performing real well. So it's an interesting number there. So you can tell that the battle is far from won when it comes over to an operating system. All right, how many of you shop a lot on Amazon? I use Amazon Prime because I can get stuff shipped here free to Hawaii. It saves me a lot of money. But Overstock says it will permanently match Amazon's print book prices. So this is big. They are trying to stay competitive here. So they are going to match all Amazon's. Now Overstock said it will permanently match Amazon prices on print books. So that's good. It's good for Overstock. We'll see how this. And of course, Overstock doesn't sell ebooks. And Overstock's going to give members of its $19.95 per year Oak Club perks, where you get 15% rebates and Overstock credit on book purchases. So I think Overstock needs to go into the digital side of the business as well. But basically, the CEO also tells the Wall Street Journal that the July Amazon promotion cost Overstock $11,000 a day. So they lost a bunch of money on this. How long can you do that and stay in business, right? Google's got a patent application describing pay-per-gaze advertising. So if I got my Google Glass on and I'm walking around and I look at a billboard, it's going to register that I looked at it and basically say, hey, Todd looked at the billboard. Okay, it's going to track us. And everyone's worried about tracking. If they can track when I look at a billboard, wouldn't they be able to track people that I look at as well? Huh. All right, do you have a MacBook Pro with an LG-made Retina screen? You may be part of a class action suit. So if you've noticed any ghosting or burn-in your 15.6-inch MacBook Pro Retina display, or if your Retina display suffers from brightness, color, and image display falls, you could benefit from a class action suit. One MacBook Pro owner filed against Apple for faulty Retina displays made by LG. So, I guess he hopes this is going to make a class action status. So we'll see where this goes. But this individual seeking unspecified damages for MacBook Pro owners with LG-made Retina screens in the United States. So we don't know if this is going to get tossed out by the judge or allowed to proceed. But time will tell. Now, even if Apple issues a mass recall of MacBook Pros with LG-made displays, it would be a pretty big hassle for them to, you'd have to live out without your laptop for a little while. But definitely, if you see ghosting on your screen, you definitely want to take it to make an appointment and take it in to have it looked at. All right, up on the International Space Station, cosmonauts perform record-setting spacewalk. 2 Russian cosmonauts set an endurance record on Friday during a spacewalk outside the ISS. They completed a 7-hour and 29-minute spacewalk, setting the record for the longest EVA by Russian cosmonauts. The 2 performed the spacewalk to prepare the station for the arrival of a new Russian module in the coming months, rerouting and installing. I didn't know they had more modules to send up. The 2 also attached material science experiments to the exterior of the Poisk module, The EVA was the first for the ISS since 16 July, which was cut shortly after it started. So, and that investigation continues on that, why that suit water had issues. But congratulations to the cosmonauts. 5 cities buy more than half of all electric vehicles in the United States. This should not come as a surprise. How many of you can name the number one? I bet you guys can do it. I bet you can do it. I bet you can do it. I bet you can do it. So here's the list. According to the auto industry, 52% of EVs in the country are based in Atlanta, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and Seattle. Atlanta was a surprise. The breakdown is with San Francisco being number one, followed by Los Angeles, followed by Seattle, followed by Atlanta. So it's go here. San Francisco 19.5, LA 15.4, Seattle at 8, New York at 4.6, and Atlanta at 4.4. So no surprise, San Francisco is the king here on EVs. So I tell you, I got a buddy who's got a Chevy Volt, and he absolutely hates the Leaf. He says every time, and what's he call it? He calls it, he's got a word for it. It's not very nice. What does he call it? Anyway, he's got a nickname for the Leafs. Every time he says, I go to a store that has a charging station, what's hooked up to it? 2 of those Leafs. I think he calls them bugs or anyway, leeches. No, he calls them leeches, I think. He says they're always leeching power. Every time he says it's always a Leaf, always a Leaf, always a Leaf. He says, you almost have to battle to beat a Leaf into a charging station. And he says, and they leave them hooked up all day. And he's just, so he just goes on and on and on. So you Leaf users, you're definitely making the Volt users very upset. And considering the Leaf only has about a 76-mile range, I can understand why you're leeching power all the time. Google's pushed Glass back to 2014. That is a rumor being reported by Computer World. Says it's not quite ready. Article. Oh, did you guys hear about the Facebook deal? I don't know if I shared this on the last show. I think I did. It's about a programmer from, where was it, Pakistan? Let me look here. No, it was Palestine. A Palestinian programmer posted a note on Zuckerberg's wall pointing out a security vulnerability on Facebook that allowed anyone to post on anyone else's wall. And basically, this guy had sent in 2 or 3 reports to Facebook, and they had basically said, it's not the bug. And he got somebody's attention. I think he actually got offered I saw somewhere else where he may have been offered a job by someone. So he definitely had his 15 minutes of fame here. So we'll see where this leads. Good article on BBC talking about patent trolls. I'm not going to go into the details, but if you don't be too surprised if you read this and get upset, because it's talking about the amount of money these patent trolls are making, and it's pretty incredible the amount of money they're making from the shakedowns that they're doing against companies. All right, if you're going to be a crazy driver, don't tweet about it, because it could contribute to you being charged at a higher level when it comes to an automobile accident. Now, this is a story for all of you that have ever texted or tweeted while you're driving. An 18-year-old man from Pleasanton, California, has seen charges against him increase from vehicle manslaughter to murder, due in part to some tweets in which he bragged about his reckless driving. The man, Cody Hall, is being held in Alameda County Jail without bail, waiting for trial. On June 9th, according to the San Francisco Chronicle, Hall was allegedly driving 83 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone and lost control of his car as he tried to pass another vehicle. The speeding car struck 2 bikers, killing one, 58-year-old Diana Herbschut, and injuring the other, her husband. Hall stayed around after the crash and spoke with police, but declined to give a statement at the time. When police concluded their investigation in July, they arrested Hall for vehicle manslaughter and reckless driving. Hall was released on bail, but this week, the Alameda District Attorney's Office decided to increase the weight of the charges and slapped him with a murder charge. This comes after reviewing Hall's driving record and some tweets he posted in which he dragged about his reckless driving. So he had basically bragged about driving 140 miles per hour. He had posted a tweet saying, "Drive fast, live young." And another one, he said, "Someone can come on a death ride with me." So this is, this is not good. This guy's life's over, and he may not have been tweeting at the time of the accident, but his actions, his prior reckless driving is going to probably see him in prison for a long time. But they're using, they're subpoenaing phone records now to see if were on the phone or you tweeted during an accident. Believe me, you don't want to have your hand anywhere near a phone when you get in a wreck. And if you do, you better hire a lawyer because they're getting pretty serious about this these days. Orbital solar powered drone offered as atmospheric satellite. There was a unmanned system conference in New Mexico, and at the AUVSI Unmanned System Conference, doesn't say where, a New Mexico-based startup, Titan Aerospace, unveiled the company's prototype for atmospheric satellites. So they've designed some satellites that will basically fly up at the upper edges of our atmosphere, and saying that these new satellites, which will be solar powered, will be able to stay online, flying a set pattern for as long as 5 years. So pretty crazy stuff. And it's all about basically communications, being able to provide internet. But these things are designed to fly between 60,000 and 90,000 feet with a 1,000-pound payload. And that's pretty crazy. And we'll see where this leads. But currently, the unmanned record is about 336 hours. That's the longest that they've had some of these up in the air. But time will tell where this leads to. So, they'll just hang a drone over a city, and commercial entities can use it for internet and so forth. Now, if you are running a service and you're using that service to go after and scrape someone else's site, and then you are given a court injunction telling you no longer shall you scrape an individual site, and this is a particular company that had this action happen to them, was scraping Craigslist. The company called 3Taps has gotten in trouble again because what they were doing is they were using proxies and they were changing IP addresses to get around the initial court ruling. So they've gotten slammed pretty hard here, where they basically have gotten caught trying to bypass from that specific IP and using another set of IPs to continue to scrape Craigslist. So the judges put the hammer on them pretty hard. I don't know what kind of sanctions are going to be put against them, but they basically arguing that, hey, we weren't coming from, you told us not to do it from this IP. We did it from that. It's not specifically spelled out, but anyway, the judge put the hammer on them. So don't try to take the law into your own hands and try to pull a fast one. Usually judges are not very cooperative when that happens. All right, again, Xbox One is fast approaching release, obviously, here. And Microsoft today unveiled a list of 50 pieces of gaming software that have been formally announced for the system. And it accompanied this list with a few stats as well. 38% of the games are exclusive, 37% are new IP, and so on. So basically, they've got all the data here on all the games that are coming. So if you are a Xbox fan, you'll want to review this article, and there's a list of games. I'll just read you a few. They're right off the top here: Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty, Dead Rising 3, Destiny, Disney Fantasia, Dragon Age, FIFA 14, Halo Xbox One. Of course, you'd expect that one. Lego Marvel Superheroes. So a bunch of games here that are going to be coming to exclusive to Xbox One. Link will be up in the show notes for you to check it out. Some researchers have been able to successfully slip malicious apps into Apple's iTunes App Store. According to Technology Review, it seems that Apple's review process may not be as expansive as once was thought. It was found that the review process may only take a few seconds, depending on the type of app, before giving the green light, which probably all of us will agree is definitely not enough time for Apple to detect that the app could be malicious in nature. The app that was submitted by researchers contained code fragments which then assembled themselves into malware, which could then be used to send emails, text messages, steal information, etc. According to one of the researchers, Long Lu, the message we want to deliver is that right now the Apple review process is mostly doing a static analysis of the app, which he says is not sufficient because dynamically generated logic cannot be easily seen. So pretty scary stuff here. So we'll see if Apple changes up their process. And you just wonder how many apps out there are just running kind of wild like this with the code that Apple can't detect of being naughty. Steve Wozniak has basically dissed Ashton Kutcher's performance of Steve Jobs. And he wasn't impressed at all with the Steve Jobs film. And Ashton came back and said, hey, Woz has got a financial interest here in saying that this movie's bad because he's working on another movie about Steve Jobs. But Woz basically came back and said, I expect a lot of what was wrong with the film came from Ashton's own images of Jobs. Ashton made some disingenuous and wrong statements about me recently, including my supposedly having said that the movie was bad, which was probably Ashton believing the pop press headlines, and I didn't like the movie because I'm a paid consultant to another one. He says these are examples of Ashton simply being in character. Either film would have paid me to consult, but Jobs one already had a script written. I can't take that creative leadership from someone else, and I was turned off by the Jobs script, but I still hope for a great movie. He said he felt sorry for people he knows who were wrongly portrayed in the film and complained that the movie ended at the point in the real Jobs' life when he was hitting his stride. So not a lot of positive reviews about this movie so far. Congratulations to GoDaddy. Of course, GoDaddy is a sponsor here for acquiring Merchant Finder. Startup Locu, L-O-C-U, for $70 million. GoDaddy is Scottsdale, Arizona domain seller and small business online platform said it had acquired San Francisco startup Locu. While the company did not disclose the terms of the deal, sources close to the situation said it paid $70 million cash in stocks for the company. The acquisition is part of an aggressive strategy by GoDaddy's CEO and former Yahoo executive Blake Irving to add the privately held company offerings to small business online. Local, which was founded out of MIT, helps local merchants get discovered online, has more than 30,000 businesses, including restaurants, spas, salons, accountants, photographers, and home remodeling companies using its network platform. So it sounds like maybe they're trying to compete with the likes of Angie's List or something like that. And again, I know very little about Locu, so if I'm completely wrong, I apologize. Microsoft launches Skype for Outlook.com in the U.S. and UK and Germany, U.S., UK, Germany, France, Canada, and Brazil. If you see how this kind of works, it's kind of weird. But so if you use Office on Outlook.com, or you use Outlook on Outlook.com, you'll see what this does. But expect to see more of this integration with Skype. There's a new twist on crowdfunding for startups. If you're looking for capital, there's a new way to crowdsource it. A pair of online platforms are offering a new twist. Entrepreneurs can post their vitals, their business ideas, and how much cash they need, and then solicit donations from interested backers. So far, we all know that's pretty familiar, but the twist is what backers get in return. Entrepreneurs agree to give backers a small percentage of their earnings each month for a certain period of time. In effect, they're selling a temporary equity stake in themselves. Okay, so they give some business examples about that out. You can check it out in the Wall Street Journal article I have linked up to. Aircast, it's a new Android app that lets you stream any media file to Chromecast. So definitely check that out on the Android store. Pretty cool little app. And it was the same individual that was making an app called MyCast, which we hold the trademark to. So he wasn't very happy with me, obviously. NFC can be used to power an e-ink display without wires. So that's pretty cool. So NFC isn't just for digital wallets and device pairing. The wireless tech can also provide a small bit of power to e-ink displays, making a good option for getting data on small second screens. So that's pretty cool little thing they're going on there. Didn't take too much juice to do that. This link will be up in the show notes. Google Glass is Google Glass for police. There's all kinds of things that we can think about. Police and fire, obviously. Firemen could retrieve the schematics of a building before entering. EMTs could triage parents at the scene of an accident with current medical records. Police being able to watch video feed from school security cameras in real time during an active shooter scenario. All kinds of things that they could do with Google Glass. So lots of ideas and lots of programmers out there looking to go after that market. So kind of a twist on things. Very, very cool. I must have had this up twice. Let me close that one. He played Tetris as a kid. What do you think? You know how you clear a line when Tetris is scrolling down? Usually I got beat. I just don't have enough coordination. But can you clean 40 lines of Tetris in 19.68 seconds? This video that I'm going to link up to you guys aren't going to believe it. It's over at Kotaku.com, Kotaku.com. It's a pretty incredible 20 seconds of Tetris play. It'll wow you. And first I thought this has got to be sped up, but they got a time clock and everything right there. So I'll have a link up in the show notes for you to take a look at. But this guy cleared 40 lines of Tetris in 19.68 seconds. Anti-wrinkle cream may be the key to treating Parkinson's disease. A new study suggests that kinetin, a chemical frequently used in anti-aging creams, could be used to develop a treatment for Parkinson's disease. So, according to a study published in Cell, researchers used kinetin to boost the activity of an enzyme called PINK1. This enzyme has been linked to brain cell death in patients with early onset of Parkinson's, and specifically with the disorder's hallmark system. So this is great news for folks that suffers with Parkinson's. I see Michael J. Fox is going to be back on television. So it must be he's got a little handle on his Parkinson's a little bit. You know, for a long time, he hasn't been on TV because it's of his, how he's been inflicted by this. So if anyone can afford to experimental treatments, he can. So, hope this becomes a treatment for all folks that suffer with Parkinson's. There's a study out. 20% of adult Americans don't use the internet. And I don't know if any of you have friends that hate the internet or they cringe when they hear the words Facebook or Google. But New York Times reports that roughly 20% of American adults do not use the internet at home, work, or via mobile. Some are by choice, yet others do not have the money for the internet. 76% of white American households and 57% of African American households use the internet. Approximately 50% of the people 65 and older go online, while 75% under 65 use the internet. Average home internet costs around $30 a month. So it's pretty sad that maybe some can't. And those that don't want to be on, okay, whatever. But those that can't afford to be on, it's pretty sad that they can't. It's such a game changer from an education standpoint. Amazon was down for a little while on Monday. Basically, about 28 minutes or so. Amazon.com was out for the count. No report on what happened here, but Outlook was down last week for a couple of days, I think. So it's big sites still have challenges staying online from time to time. Germany has recognized Bitcoin as a private money, making it tax-free per personal use. So that's kind of an interesting move by Germany. The YouTube app for Android has got a multitasking playlist update that's pretty exciting. Of course, here Microsoft is battling with Google over their YouTube app, and then YouTube gets a new app on Android. Oh, boy. I'm sure the guys at Microsoft are just shaking their fist back at Google. There's a very, very cool video on F-35B fighter. This aircraft is expected to cost the United States more than $1.5 trillion over its lifetime, and it's been described as being too heavy and too sluggish. And one critic has been called the jet a dog. But one thing's for sure, the F-35 looks pretty impressive when it's landing vertically on an aircraft carrier in the dark. Take a look at this video. I think it will wow you. If you've seen an F-35 fly before, it'll wow you as well. But anyway, have a look at the video. I think you'll say, well, I hope my taxpayer dollars are being spent well. All right, last couple of articles here tonight for you. One from Gizmo. I saw this and I don't know. All right, all of us that have had kids, we've had the stroller thing going on, right? And you get it out of the car, you unfold it, you make sure you got to get the kid in there, you got to strap him in. Depends on what stage the kid's in. If he's sitting in one that's, sitting up one or a lay down one, you go through the stages with kids and strollers. And finally get to a point where you're like, walk. You can walk with mom and dad. I'm not pushing you no more. Well, why not pull them? Well, there's some new child seat like transport that basically pull your kid around like carry-on luggage. And it's basically the same thing. It's part of your car seat, but it's got wheels on it. And, you pull the kid behind you. I really think this is a terrible idea. Because, your kid's not supposed to be like, like pulling along like luggage, right? Your kids, you want to push your kids around and they can see what you see. You don't want to drag them behind so they can watch who's, walking behind them. It's not cool. I really don't think this is a smart idea. And I would be very shocked if very many parents bought this. Do you guys want to pull your kids around? When you guys see this, it looks like luggage. It's got the same type of a handle as luggage does. And it's got wheels like luggage, and the car seat sits in this. You just pull them. I think people would just give you all bloody, terrible looks, bad parent type stuff. I don't know. It's called the Bricka Roll and Go car seat. $70. This one here. And I'm on a stroller stage. Thank goodness for now. But this just doesn't grab me really as a product that's going to sell well. I just saw it on ogizmo.com, and I just had to show you guys. All right, last article. Feedly will support dynamic OPML. So this is over at scripting.com. So that's pretty good news. Most of you don't know what OPML is, but those of you do will go, oh, that's cool. So dynamic OPML is pretty slick. And so that's nice that they're going to support that in version 18 or 19 of Feedly. So let me go ahead here and load up the show notes and see what we've got for comments. Today is the 19th. Last show was on the 15th. So, not too many emails that came in. So I got an email from Jeffrey Powers over at Geekazine, and Jeffrey does a lot of great shows. So make sure that you check out This Week in Glass that he has, and he's got a daily show that he does and so forth. But he's posted a blog post on his website that talks about the RMA process for a glass. And Jeffrey's went through this a couple of times. He's a little bit irritated with Google over it. And he talks about the unboxing of RMA Google Glass. So I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to check out. So thanks for Jeffrey sending this. And I got an email from Daniel. And Daniel is a student, listener of the show. He says, hey, Todd, as a 13-year-old fan of Geek News Central, I personally wanted to let you know about my app, Backdoor, which allows users to anonymously message their Facebook or Google Plus friends. In addition, on the receiving end, you can redeem clues about your anonymous friends in order to help level the playing field. We just celebrated our 1-month anniversary and have some cool features prepared for beginning of school in the form of an update aptly called Backdoor Back to School. I really think the GNC readers would love to check out the app, and I think you would too. Let me know if you want to chat. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Keep up the great articles. So Daniel, he goes to Harvard Westlake School, and looks like he is obviously a freshman here, class of 2017. And so if you the only comment I have, Daniel, is the name is a little odd. Backdoorapp.com is the website. Let me load this up and make sure we're not getting something. Okay, we're not. So Basic is a little game. And, here's the thing that I don't know. I guess if someone's friended you, and I think it's a little odd to be able to chat with someone and they kind of have to guess who it is. But definitely interesting app, and something that definitely teenagers I think will like. So backdoorapp.com. So a nice way to email me here, Daniel. That's a way to get information out about your app. Okay, so I think that's going to it for tonight. hey, everyone, call me. Call the hotline, 619-342-7365. Or, of course, you can email me here, geeknews@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter @geeknews. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. Love to hear your email, comments. And we went a little weird in the beginning of the show, but I hope that you guys will respond and let me know what you think as this ongoing saga of stuff that keeps being reported in the news pops its head up. But it's been my pleasure bringing the show. Don't forget about our sponsor over at GoDaddy. You know, we really need your support. Supporting them supports us. And we've had a bunch of new insiders too. And I'm a little behind on adding people to the mailing list. So all those of you that, and we've had some $10 ones, some $20 ones come in. Some folks have come in at $5 a month. I really, really, I appreciate those of you that have become insiders and are supporting the show. That really, as we build more folks that are supporting the show from an insider perspective, it goes really a long, long way in helping the show and basically helping us meet our financial obligations here as well. So definitely appreciate all of you that are contributing, becoming an insider. And if you haven't yet, consider doing so. You can get started for 6.7 cents a day. Okay, so we hope that I hope we're worth at least a latte a month, which would be $5. I think that's what a latte costs. I haven't bought something at Starbucks in a long time, but and we'd hope that you'd support the show, becoming an insider, geeknewscentral.com/insider. There's a link to it on the second column of the website as well, where you can get started, make a one-time donation, or you can just, pick your monthly amount. We definitely love the monthly ones. And keep an eye on your PayPal account too. So if your credit card expires, the payment cancels automatically. So make sure that if you've been basically contributing money and you look in there and it's like something stopped, it's because your credit card died. And I'm not emailing anyone when it says it does. I don't want to bother people and look like I'm being too greedy, but I thought I'd remind folks as well. But everyone, thanks for being here. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha. Bye-bye, YouTube.